This is our second car. It is now due for an oil and filter change, but because it is close to the 25,000 mile mark, I'm going to be draining and refilling the transmission fluid as well. By performing these preventative maintenance procedures often, the hope is that this vehicle will last for a long time. So join me today as I go through these steps. I'm using my quick jacks for this job because they allow me great access to all areas in the engine bay, but both these procedures can be performed with the vehicle up on ordinary jack stands. This underbelly shield needs to come off the car for the work to be done. There are 6 of these center push-pull trim clips here, and due to dirt buildup they can be stubborn to remove. Along with the plastic clips, there are 6 8mm screws holding the front of the shield in place. With the shield out of the way, I can easily get to the areas I need to. The engine oil change starts at the top of the engine. Using a 17mm wrench and my 5-finger hammer, I remove the drain bolt. I've said this about Mazdas in the past, but I really appreciate the location of the oil filter right next to the drain bolt. Using my strap wrench here makes short work of removing the oil filter. Normally, I like to use a plastic beer cup to catch this overflow, but today I realized I was out of them. I'm cleaning the machine surface of the oil filter housing to ensure that there is no debris present. This also allows me to check if the old rubber gasket was left on. That would not be a good thing. I purchased my oil filters at the dealership. I also pick up a handful of crush washers while I'm at it. I pre-fill my oil filters before installation. If I didn't, then the top end of the engine could potentially be starved of oil for 5 to 10 seconds before the oil pump receives oil. And as usual, I just lubricate the gasket with a little bit of fresh oil. Now for the 23 of you watching and yelling at me for not tightening the drain plug, I did. I just forgot to hit record on the camera. The instructions on the filter ask for a 3/4 turn after the gasket meets the housing. Back to the top of the engine, I just carefully fill and check the level until full. This is one advantage to using the quick jacks. The car is raised perfectly level, so all fluid checks can be done safely with the car in the air. With the engine running, I can now check for any oil leaks. With the final level check, all I have to do now is to reset the maintenance reminder on the dash for another 5,000 miles. This procedure starts at the top of the engine as well. Here, I'm disconnecting the mass airflow sensor. Now, since I have the sensor up here right in my teeth, I will remove it and clean it. A more comprehensive video about cleaning this sensor is available elsewhere on my channel. The owner's manual states that the transmission and torque converter is holding almost 8 liters of fluid. This procedure will only be successful if there is no fluid loss due to leaking. If some fluid has leaked out, it will not be accurate to refill using this method. An 8mm Allen key is needed to remove the drain plug. I'm using this particular bucket not only because it attracts ants for some reason, but it also has a graduated level on the inside. It is important to note here that I am only doing a fluid dump and refill. I am not changing the filter yet. So the fluid drop is almost exactly 4 liters, which means there's still almost 4 liters left inside the transmission. A new crush washer will be used. You can see the factory paint on the old one. In order to fully access the dipstick and the fill hole, I have to remove the air intake and the air box. The air intake is fastened to the upper radiator mount with 2 10mm bolts. I'm removing the air hose between the air box and the throttle body so I can remove the air filter and filter housing. For the most part, this filter is okay to reuse. It was only changed last fall. All I have to do now is remove the random bee and water buffalo carcass from it. The rest of the air intake system can be removed off the 3 posts holding the rubber grommets. This is the view of the dipstick with a square-shaped handle and a 10mm bolt holding it down. To try and avoid any dirt contaminating the transmission, I gave the area a generous spray of brake clean. And here, I'm just cleaning the machine surface with some paper towel. The dipstick indicates to use FZ designated fluid, which I picked up at my Mazda dealer. I bought this inexpensive funnel/filler tube from my local car care center. This one has an inline fine mesh filter. Without the airbox in place, it's easy to insert the end of the filler tube into the filler hole. The Mazda transmission fluid has a distinct blue raspberry flavor. The usual ATF purchased at discount stores is bright red and will not mix well with the blue. It is worth the extra few bucks to buy the proper fluid. I let the bottles drain fully, taking a little extra time. So I worked on all 4 brakes since the car was up in the air anyway. Again, a more comprehensive video is available elsewhere on my channel. These are the 3 posts that rubber grommets will fit on. My daughter has a CX-3 that is a few years older than ours, and I noticed these bolts have a tendency to rust, so I'm spraying my favorite rust prevention coating to help slow down that rust. I am reassembling the airbox parts because the engine needs to be running to properly check the fluid level, and if these parts were not together, the engine would run poorly and throw multiple check engine codes. By now, the mass airflow sensor cleaner has had plenty of time to evaporate off. With the engine running and no check engine codes, it is time to exercise the transmission. I spend about 3 minutes slowly shifting between reverse, neutral, and drive. The new fluid needs to circulate between the valve body and the various passages inside the transmission. This short running time has allowed the transmission to reach the desired temperature to check the fluid level. Here is yet another advantage to using the quick jack system. The fluid level can be properly checked by crawling underneath the car while running. So this is where the level should be, with the engine at or around 50 degrees Celsius. Well, that was my take on 2 important preventative maintenance procedures. I hope this information helps. Thank you for joining me today behind the red door.